Hello everyone and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. Feels like it's been ages since I posted a video. I apologize for that. It's been extremely busy on my side for the past few weeks. Good busy, very work related busy, but in any case, I haven't been here as often as I wanted to be. In any case, guys, a lot of things have happened. I think a lot of things are worth talking about. Of course, we had the Bitcoin spot ETF being approved, and now they are trading. And as expected, as mentioned, we are now in the sell-off phase after the euphoria. But in any case, guys, let me first say, if you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. It greatly helps the channel. So thank you very much. But in any case, let's go to crypto a little bit at the end. Let's go at the markets, at the big picture. Now, there was a bit of a sell-off in stocks as the inflation data came a little bit hotter than expected. If you recall my last video, I believe on Sunday or Monday, basically I mentioned that December has the potential of being a hotter month in inflation. Why? There's no big secret, there's no big deal. It's basically holiday month. People spend a lot of money, people take more holidays, typically tends to be a hotter month. Now, and stocks reacted negatively to it. Now, why is that? Well, the idea is if inflation is coming hotter than expected, then the likelihood of the rate cuts diminishes, or even further rate increases, fears may loom. Now, in my opinion, it was a temporary or seasonal inflation bump, again, because it is the holiday month. And today, and then we got the PPI, which is basically the inflation for companies. And that one has fallen because basically the companies, so the way that it works is, okay, if there's going to be inflation in December because people spend more money, then you need to have more inflation in November for companies because they need to prepare for the month of December. So as the price for company, the inflation for companies came down in the month of December. Why? Because the next month for the consumers will be January. So basically stocks rebounded very close to where they were before. We actually traded above the old all-time high closing of the S&P 500, but we still haven't made a new all-time high close. So for the time being, my last of the three predictions has still not happened, although we are extremely close to it. Now, I do expect inflation to keep somewhere around the levels where it is, but still going down in the coming months. And when people are saying, just 1 second, when people are saying things like, oh, inflation is 3%, it's not 2% like the Fed said, right? Look, guys, if they cannot have inflation lower than 3%, what's going to happen is one of these days, the Fed will come up with a theory of how they revise their models. Let's say they revise them for artificial intelligence benefits, right? And they will somehow notice that, no, the 2% metric was for the old economy. But with the new economy pushed by artificial intelligence and crypto and all of these things, then the appropriate inflation level is actually 3%. I can imagine them coming up with this idea. If they really cannot bring inflation to 2%, they will come up with an idea like this. Of course, what I just said is completely ridiculous, but that's not the point. The point is they just need to start spreading those seeds in people's minds. And that will be enough to all of a sudden people being very happy with 3% inflation. So when you see 2%, 3%, 3.4%, 3.2, 2.9, it doesn't really mean that much because the Fed just need to do that. All the central banks just need to come together and come up with a story of why 3% is great in the modern world, in fighting for freedom, in Operation Twist, whatever. They're going to call it a nice name, and they're going to come up with some excuse if they need to. I'm not saying they're going to do it. If they need to, if inflation really cannot come down below 3%, they will come up with an idea of why 3% is actually great in 2024. That's it. Now, let's go to the big part, crypto. So we've seen huge volatility. What I mentioned was, I do believe the day of the approval, Bitcoin will rally and Ethereum will rally more, because a positive stance on Bitcoin means an eventual Ethereum spot ETF. Because a lot of the price benefit of the ETFs was already priced in, we've seen a rise to Bitcoin 48.8, 49,000, depends a little bit on the exchanges that you look at. What did I say after that? Once they launch, sell the news event. So basically, Bitcoin went from 49 to 42.8, and now it's at 43.6 thousand, around that. So you had a big sell the news event. Now, this needs to be said as well. Bitcoin will have less volatility going forward than before. Now, most people at home, now that doesn't mean that next month there's no volatility, it moves like stocks. No, that's not what I'm saying. Over time, that volatility will decrease. And people say, oh, but that's great, right? Because then Bitcoin has a more stable value. But no, that's the problem. Why was Bitcoin the best performing asset in the history of mankind? Because it was extremely volatile. The volatility was, for the most part, up, and then with some very ravishing downward movements when everybody was convinced that it was the second coming of Jesus. Lower volatility means less gains. That's it. Now, you can tell me, oh, maybe it means less losses. Potentially, yes. But the point is, crypto was the way for average people to become millionaires, to create generational wealth with not such a big investment, to have things going 100-fold, 1,000,000-fold, 10,000-fold, right? That was the key. That was the opportunity for people like you and me, who were not born in the richest family, who did not have the best background, but some way or another, we still made it with crypto. Now, does that mean that there's no way that crypto is gonna... No, crypto will still go up. Crypto has the potential to go massively up. The reason why the ETFs, in my opinion, may be quite bullish is I get the feeling that somehow, some way, they will be included in 401ks and retirement plans as a small allocation of a portfolio to be allocated to Bitcoin. Now, but then you tell me, oh yeah, but it's just a small percentage, maybe not even 5% true. But 5% of a lot is more than 100% of zero. Okay? Now, then there's the philosophical problem, right? If it's an ETF, if it's in Wall Street, now we all fought not to be controlled, and here we are, the big ones are coming to control us. To some degree, or to manipulate us, to some degree, that can actually be the reality. It can defeat the purpose of crypto. But here is the point. Me and you cannot control it. I cannot do anything about it. I have zero power to decide in favor or against it. What do I have the power to do? I have the power to try and predict the cascade effects of what just happened and try to use it for my benefit and for my potential retirement if everything goes well. That's it. That's what I can do. I can sit here, cry with you, spend 3 hours in a live stream, all agreeing with each other, but you see, that doesn't help us in how to deal with this going forward. Now, what did I say as well? January, we should, in order to repeat the cycle, we should be comfortably above 45,000, which we were. 49,000 is well above 45,000. Ideal scenario to me would be close January 46, 47,000. So clearly above the 45. So we repeat the fractal. What is also happening? Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin again. It's still not a massive outperformance, but it will increase, in my opinion, in the near future. You see, I was actually having a discussion with a colleague at work about this. He was saying, but the Bitcoin spot ETFs were approved. Why is Ethereum pumping more than Bitcoin? And I told him, you don't understand, do you? And this is a very smart guy. I mean, you talk about guys with master's degrees, guys that work, 10 years in financial industries or related. So, I mean, this is not an idiot. This is a smart guy. And I told him, you don't understand, do you? The pricing of the spot ETFs has been happening over the past weeks, months. Some say BlackRock was buying in October 2022. Okay, so that is the pricing. What the confirmation of the ETFs tells you, because there were a lot of rumors that the ETFs are going to be rejected. The confirmation, of course, gives a little bit of comfort to Bitcoin. But the likelihood of approval was already extremely high in any case. What it opens the doors to is Ethereum spot ETF. Because that's the next one in line. And that, my friends, can mark the top of the crypto cycle. Here, I said it. If we start seeing a lot of conversations about Ethereum spot ETF, and if we get an Ethereum spot ETFs in 2025, that to me is as clear as a top signal as I've seen for a long time. You see, what you're starting to see as well is that Ethereum is pumping. A lot of the altcoins are starting to pump as well. Pulsechain is up something like 85% on the month. Pulsex is up more than 100%. X is up close to 100% in 30 days. And that is driven by the fact that the Sacrifice wallet is buying coins. Number two, Richard Hart announced that he's fighting the SEC. And in this case, the accusations against him are so thin. And if they failed miserably with Coinbase, with Grayscale, but particularly with XRP, there's a very high likelihood that they're going to fail with him. And boy, if the charges are dismissed within the next 6 to 12 months, then you're going to see an explosion on that ecosystem, which are my retirement coins, as I mentioned before. Why do I have Hedron and ICOSA as well? ICOSA is up more than 130% in the last week and a half or so. You see, ICOSA is free leverage on X. So if X recovers, ICOSA works almost as leverage to X. Now, I don't encourage anybody to do what I'm doing. I am just explaining why I have the coins that I have. This is real DeFi, not fake DeFi. There's no venture capital firms hidden. There is no sponsorships. There is no private allocations to influencers. There's nothing. There's an organic community that is growing. We had the next conference organized by a member of the X community, not paid by anybody. He decided to do it by himself. So I'm very comfortable that the outcome of these SEC hearings will work very well. So Richard has a team of 11 lawyers, and the first drafts that I've seen of the defense are actually quite strong and very hard for the SEC to come back from that, but we'll see. I do think the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETF has brought credibility to the space. Now, Gary Gensler, if you can believe it, can now come and say, look, this is my legacy. I got the Bitcoin spot ETF. Look how genius I am, which is laughable. But again, we had our little movements in Bitcoin as expected. You need to understand that a lot of Bitcoin was trapped in grayscale, could not be sold. Now it can be sold. So you're going to see some selling pressure coming from it. So if people are thinking we're just going to shoot to 150,000 Bitcoin, think again. That's not going to happen. So be very careful with people telling you that and people advising you to trade on leverage and stuff like that. Be very careful with it. We are in a very exciting period. So far, things are repeating. There's going to be a time where the cycle will not repeat. We should go up into the halvening, but the halvening will be another big sell the news event, in my opinion. Just like the spot ETFs actually launching was a sell the news. The approval, up, just like I said. The actual launch, sell off. So eventually, I do think, maybe it takes a month, maybe it takes 30 days, maybe it takes 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, who knows. The market is getting smarter because you start to see a lot of wallets this time around front-running certain movements. So they're not going as clean as they used to go. Bitcoin, sell off, Ethereum goes, boom, altcoins go, drop, Bitcoin goes, Ethereum goes, altcoins go, drop, bear market, 85% down Bitcoin, 95% Ethereum. So we are repeating the majority of the cycle, but not every single detail. So that's also important to keep in mind. However, I think the opportunities will be great. Paying attention to lottery tickets, paying attention to the next big narratives, very important, very crucial to do very well. But in any case, exciting period of time. Inflation should moderate to go down. And we should see the S&P 500 putting a all-time high soon, maybe next week. And wait for a big volatile year as the elections in the US are approaching. If we do see Ethereum spot ETF 2025, I get the feeling, I'll make a formal prediction later, but if that is the case, I'm willing to say that most likely that's going to be the top. In any case, guys, thank you very much for your attention. I'll see you tomorrow. I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content, and have a great evening, everyone.